Have you ever overheard a hushed conversation, maybe at a cafe or a bus stop, where someone whispers about government plotting or secrets being hidden from the public? And thought, that's too wild to be true. Well, brace yourselves. Today we're diving deep into the mysterious world of conspiracy theories. But here's the twist. These aren't just baseless tales spun in dimly lit rooms. We're revealing the top 10 conspiracy theories that, believe it or not, turned out to be true. So grab your detective hats, and let's uncover some of history's most shocking truths that were once brushed off as mere rumors. Number 1. The US government's Tuskegee experiment. Back in the early 20th century, many believed that the US government was conducting clandestine medical experiments on unsuspecting individuals. Sounds like the plot of a horror film, right? But hold on to your hats. In what became known as the Tuskegee experiment, between 1932 and 1972, the US Public Health Service left untreated syphilis in African American men without their consent to study the disease's progression. These men were promised free medical care but were deceived and denied treatment. The aftermath of this revelation was earth-shattering. The distrust sown among communities towards medical experiments has had lasting effects even today. Due to this unethical study, there was a massive overhaul in how clinical trials are conducted, ensuring participants' rights and well-being. Number 2. MKUltra mind control experiments. Now let's move to a storyline straight out of a sci-fi book. Mind control? Surely that's limited to the tales of extraterrestrial encounters? Not quite. CIA actually funded a series of mind control experiments known as MKUltra from the 1950s to the 1970s. Participants, many of whom didn't give consent, were subjected to drugs, hypnosis, and even electroshocks to see if they could be controlled or have their memories altered. When this sinister plot was uncovered in the 1970s, the US public was understandably outraged. The idea that their own government was dabbling in brainwashing was chilling. This revelation led to tighter controls and regulations on human experiments, ensuring that the dark days of MKUltra would never be repeated. Number 3. Watergate scandal. Watergate. The name alone invokes images of shadowy figures and secret tapes. During the early 1970s, rumors were rife that President Richard Nixon had approved the break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate office complex. This seemed like a wild political thriller plot, but truth can sometimes be stranger than fiction. As investigations delved deeper, the tangled web of political espionage unraveled, showing the lengths to which the Nixon administration had gone to sabotage their opponents. This monumental scandal shook the very foundations of US politics, leading to Nixon's resignation, and served as a powerful reminder of the importance of checks and balances in democracy. Number 4. Operation Northwoods. The Cold War was a hotbed for conspiracies, with both sides looking for an edge over the other. There were whispers that the US military had plans to incite public support for a war against Cuba by staging false flag terrorist attacks. It sounds too dramatic to be true, doesn't it? Shockingly, these rumors were grounded in reality. Codenamed Operation Northwoods, these plans thankfully never saw the light of day. The very notion that such plans were even considered gave many a chilling glimpse into the murkier side of geopolitical strategies. Number 5. Big Brother's watching. The NSA spying scandal. We've all joked about Big Brother watching us, but in 2013, Edward Snowden, an NSA contractor, blew the lid off the US government's massive surveillance program. While conspiracy buffs had long suspected that they were being watched, the scale and depth of the program revealed by Snowden were truly mind-boggling. This wasn't just about tracking potential threats, but collecting data en masse from ordinary citizens. This disclosure led to global debates about privacy, government overreach, and the line between surveillance for security and outright intrusion. Number 6. The CIA's involvement in drug trafficking. Rumors of the US government's involvement in drug trafficking seemed too far-fetched to many. But as details emerged about the CIA's covert operations in Central America, a startling picture began to form. evidence surfaced suggesting the CIA had turned a blind eye to drug cartels, especially those funding anti-communist Contras in Nicaragua. This revelation was not just a shocking betrayal of trust, but raised questions about the very essence of the so-called war on drugs. Number 7. Operation Mockingbird. CIA's media manipulation. Fake news might be a buzzword today, but the idea of the CIA influencing the media dates back to the 1950s and 60s. Dubbed Operation Mockingbird, the agency allegedly recruited journalists from top media outlets to mold public opinion. When this covert program came to light, the very idea that trusted news sources might be influenced by intelligence agencies left many questioning where truth ended and propaganda began. It emphasized the need for transparent and unbiased journalism. Number 8. The Gulf of Tonkin Incident. The Vietnam War remains one of the most controversial chapters in U.S. history. At its onset, the Gulf of Tonkin incident, where North Vietnamese boats were said to have attacked U.S. ships, was a pivotal moment. But were the events reported accurately? Decades later, it was revealed that the U.S. had exaggerated the incident, using it as a pretext to escalate military involvement in Vietnam. This stark manipulation of facts underlined the need for thorough investigation and skepticism, especially when war is on the line. Number 9. The FBI's COINTELPRO. Civil rights movements of the 60s and 70s were monumental, but they faced massive opposition, sometimes from unexpected quarters. There were whispers that the FBI was actively working to discredit and disrupt these movements. Unfortunately, these weren't just baseless rumors. COINTELPRO, a FBI initiative, was exposed for its covert and often illegal operations against groups deemed subversive. From Martin Luther King Jr. to the Black Panthers, no one was safe from this clandestine campaign. Number 10. Prohibition and the U.S. government's poisoned alcohol. Prohibition was a tumultuous time in the U.S., with the government and bootleggers playing a high-stakes game. Rumors circulated that the government was poisoning industrial alcohols, which were being repurposed as drinkable spirits by bootleggers. Tragically, this wasn't just barroom gossip. In an effort to deter consumption, the government did indeed poison these alcohols, leading to thousands of deaths. A stark reminder that sometimes the ends don't justify the means. And there we have it, detectives, a roller coaster ride through hidden truths and concealed tales. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other whispers might be swirling around that could one day prove true? But for now, keep those curious minds active and never stop questioning. Until next time, remember, the world is always a tad more mysterious than it seems.